Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. For today's tutorial, we're going modern casual for beginner friendly, off the shoulder sweater that's all about restraint. Raw hem, humble collar, and clean ribbing. Simple but effective combination. Speaking of, if you're a fan of minimalist makes, you are in the right place. We have hundreds of modern, easy-to-follow crochet tutorials and patterns, with even more dropping twice weekly, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now, it's time to get on with the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 250 grams of yarn. That's 560 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us, when forming a new habit, do you like to fully invest right away or take steps? I like to fully invest, all or nothing. Details for the giveaway down below. We're using 3 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, and extended half double crochet. This tutorial is made for a size small. You can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we're all going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Then we're all going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making a chain that starts at the top of our shoulder down to like the bottom of the sweater to be, so you can make this cropped or full length. I would like for mine to be cropped, so I'm going to start by making a chain that is 11.5 inches or 29 centimeters, and that's a chain of 45 for me. And I actually already have my panel completed, so I'm just going to be doing a small sample size with you. Now that we have our chain, we're all going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's our turning chain. Now we're all going to be putting 1 extended half double crochet into every chain, or a modified double crochet. So getting that started, we're all going to yarn over. Into that chain that we blocked off, or the 3rd chain from our hook, we're going to bring our hook down into that chain, yarn over, and pull through. Now we should all have a total of 3 loops on our hook. What we're going to do from here is yarn over and pull through just that first loop on our hook, leaving us still with 3 loops on our hook. Then yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's do that again. Yarn over. Into that next chain, we're going to insert, yarn over, and pull through. Yarn over, pull through just the first loop, leaving us with 3. Yarn over, pull through the last 3. From here, we're going to continue to do our extended half double crochet into every chain. Now that we've made our way all the way down with our first row, we're going to get started on our second row, which is more extended half double crochets, but now within the back loops. So chain 2 and flip. Again, starting with the yarn over, into that first stitch, we're going to insert now into that back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, pull through. Yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and continue doing this until we reach the end of the row. We are back and we have just completed our first 2 rows. From here, we're going to continue to repeat our previous row. So it's just 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch, no increases, no decreases, until we have a portion that can reach from the tip of our shoulder in towards the edge of the base of our neck. Now we must end right after an even number row, and I actually already have that portion completed, so let's take a look at mine. Now from this first row all the way over to where my stitch marker is, this is going to be where my shoulder is. This is just about 8 rows. The width is roughly 4 inches or 8 centimeters, remembering it does have a little bit of stretch to it. And I made sure to insert my stitch marker into the top of that last row. Now once we have the shoulder portion completed, we're going to work on the width of our piece. The width is going to be done exactly the same way. That's why we're separating it with the stitch markers. So after our shoulder portion, we're going to chain 2, flip our work. 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch again. Then we're just going to continue to repeat that row until we have a portion that can reach from the edge of the base of our neck all the way across our chest to the outside of our arm. Now, once we have that, we should all end on a total of odd number of rows. Now I do have that portion completed as well. So from my first shoulder row up until that last row, I have 35 rows. This width is roughly 16 inches or 41 centimeters. Then from there, we're going to continue to do our extended half double crochet rows that we've been doing, still with no increases and no decreases, for the same amount of rows that we had on this side. So from where we're at, I just did 8 more shoulder rows because I had a total of 8 shoulder rows here. So I ended with a total amount of 43 rows. And be sure to insert your stitch marker into the top of that first shoulder row as well. Now my total width is 20 inches or 51 centimeters. After that last row, I did do a chain up 1 and cut. Once we have one of these panels completed, we're going to make a second panel that is exactly the same with the same stitch markers. Once we have both of those panels completed, I will meet you guys back. So we are back. We have both of our panels completed. Now once we do, the next we're going to do is seam our shoulders together. So go ahead and place our front panel on top of our back panel and insert your hook into the top corner stitch of both the front and the back, and we're going to do our seam. So all we're going to do is yarn over, pull through everything on our hook. Then just put 2 single crochets into every side row until we're worked into our stitch marker stitch. So just to do the first one, finding that first top loop within the front panel, insert, first top loop within the back panel, insert, and single crochet. We're going to do another one into that same side row, so into that same top loop within the front panel, same top loop within the back panel. Should be a little bit easier since everything should already be gathered, and single crochet. Let's just do this once more. Next top loop within the front panel, next top loop within the back, single crochet once, and single crochet a second time into that same top loop. Continue doing this until we're worked into our stitch marker stitches. Do a chain up 1 and cut, and repeat on the other side. So we are back. We have just completed seaming our shoulders. Now we're going to seam our sides. So first things first, making sure that our work is flipped wrong side out, meaning the seams that we just completed are along the outside. We're going to try our piece on. We're going to insert our stitch marker into any stitch for the width that we'd like for our sleeve to be. Now you can make this a wider sleeve, so you'd insert your stitch marker lower, or a slimmer sleeve, so you'd insert your stitch marker higher. I inserted my stitch marker into the 20th stitch from the top. That's roughly 5 inches or 10 centimeters. Then we're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. We're going to pull our working yarn through and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And now we're going to do a single crochet seam. So finding that first stitch into the front panel, insert, first stitch into the back panel, insert, and single crochet. Once more, next stitch into the front, next stitch into the back, and single. Continue this until we reach our stitch marker. When we do a chain up 1 and cut, and repeat on the other side. So we are back. We have just completed seaming up our sides. Now we're going to work on our shoulder band, but really it's just going to be a single crochet row to clean up everything. So making sure that our work is flipped right side out, right side up, meaning our shoulder seams are now along the inside. We're then going to insert our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along our neckline, and we're just going to put 2 single crochets into every side row. So let's just do the first one together. So we're going to pull our working yarn through and start with a chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't actually count as a stitch. Now into this same side row, I'm going to insert with 2 single crochets. So there's 1, there's 2, and that's it. We're going to continue to put 2 single crochets into every side row, making our way all the way around. Once we do, slip stitch into that chain space, and I'll meet you back. So we are back. We have just single crocheted along the entirety of our neckline. Now we're going to do 1 more single crochet row, but within the back loops. So right after we've slip stitched in that chain space, we're all going to chain 1, and making sure we're working in the same direction as our previous row, just insert your hook into that first stitch's back loop with a single crochet, and that's it. Make your way all the way around with 1 back loop single crochet into every stitch, slip stitch into that chain space and do a chain up 1 and cut, and I'll meet you back. So now that we have completed our shoulder band, we're now going to get started on our sleeve. So this is going to be pretty simple. Making sure that our work is still flipped right side out, right side up. Insert your hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to our side seam within the armhole. Then what we're going to do is start with a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, we just need the height. And make your way around our armhole with 1 extended half double crochet into every stitch. So just to do the first one, yarn over. Into that first available stitch, we're going to insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and continue this, making our way all the way around. So we've made our way all the way around with our first sleeve row. Now we're going to connect the beginning to the end. So what we're going to do is slip stitch into that second chain that we made when we got started on the row. So there's 1, there's 2, slip stitch into that second chain, and now our row is connected. From here, all we're going to do, super simple, chain 2, flip our work, making sure that we are flipping our work because we want to keep up with the ribbing of the body, and just put 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch and then repeat. Just to do the first back loop one together, yarn over. Into that first stitch from our previous row, we're going to insert into that back loop or the loop that's furthest away from us, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, pull through 3, and that's it. From here, just continue to repeat this row until we have a portion that can reach our elbow when our piece is on our shoulder. Then I'll meet you back. We are back and my sleeve length is complete. Now I just did 13 rows. My length is roughly 6.5 inches or 17 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to do the last thing, which is our cuff. So from where we're at, all we're going to do is start by making a chain the length that we'd like for the cuff to be. I'd like for mine to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain 10. Now that we have our chain, we're going to slip stitch all the way down. So block off that last chain and do a chain 1. Into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a slip stitch, so yarn over and gently pull through everything. We want to make sure that we're not tugging too tightly after every stitch, otherwise the following row can be too tight to work into. But from here, just continue with 1 slip stitch into every chain. Our first slip stitch row is complete. From here, we're going to work our way up to the following row. So into that next stitch, insert with a slip stitch. Now that doesn't actually count as a stitch, that's just to connect. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, flip our work, and now put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. So finding the last stitch from our previous row, not working into any of those slip stitches into the base, we're going to insert into that back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, then continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. At the end of the row, we're all going to chain 1, flip our work. Continue with 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, and I'll meet you back at the end of our row 3. We are back and our first 3 rows are complete. We're now going to work into the base again the same way we just did. So finding that next available stitch into the base, insert with a slip stitch. Then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, flip our work, and repeat. We're going to continue to repeat these 2 previous rows with no increases and no decreases, making our way all the way around. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, I'll meet you back so we can seam it all together. So we are back. We have just made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitches. Now we're going to seam everything together. So first things first, this is going to be an outside loop slip stitch seam. So making sure that our work is flipped right side up, we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through everything on our hook. Next, we're going to start by finding that next available stitch into the front panel and insert only into that front loop. Then find that next available stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop, then yarn over and gently pull through all 3 loops. Once more, next stitch into the front panel, next stitch into the back, yarn over, pull through all 3, and that's it. Continue on with this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into. When we don't, do a chain up 1 and cut, then repeat everything on the other side. Then the last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. There you have it. Hope y'all enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Catch you on the next one. Bye!